The Sketcho Show Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, up until now you've seen the creature perform the simple mechanics of motor activity, but for what you are about to see next, we must enter quietly into the realm of genius. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, Damen und Herren, from what was once an inarticulate mass of lifeless tissues, may I now present a cultured, sophisticated man about town. Hit it!
The Sketchomatic Show. Sketchomatic.
And just like that, back again with another episode of the Sketcho Show podcast.
Sketchomatic.
Now available on the iHeartRadio app, which is why I decided to come back from my short-lived hiatus and do 3 episodes back to back to back. And this is part of that series that I'm putting out. And then I'm going to take another hiatus because I'll tell you, it's still difficult to book guests. However, the guest I was able to get today has not been on the podcast. She is new to Los Angeles. She just, I would say, fairly recently got put on overnights on 102.7 KISS FM, the flagship station here at iHeartMedia.
Wow.
She's originally from Maryland. We're going to get into that and how she got her break into the radio realm. Ladies and gentlemen, folks, it's my pleasure to have Kayla Thomas, KT. Oh, I put your wrong mic up. Hold on. Kayla Thomas, KT. Again, are you on 5?
Yes, I'm on 5.
Kayla Thomas, KT.
Hi, is it working out?
Oh my God. I was potting up the wrong mics all day long. This is why I'm not officially on the air.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. How are you, Kayla Thomas?
I am doing so good. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for asking me to do this.
You have such good energy. I had to have it on the podcast because let me tell you, you have this smile.
Oh, gosh.
Lights up the hallway from down the other side. And it's like a mile-long hallway. And I'm like, oh, my God, who's this? So, Kayla Thomas,
oh my gosh,
it's a pleasure to feature you on the Sketcho Show podcast, my peewee of a podcast. I'm honored that you agreed to do it. Like I said, it's difficult to book guests, but you were effortless.
Oh.
It took a while to get here because we were busy. You're busy.
Yeah.
You're tracking. You're on the air. You're traveling. You're doing all kinds of stuff. You came through, and I really appreciate it.
No, I love what you're doing. I see that you're hustling all the time. Yeah. I've seen all the other guests that you've had on your podcast, and I was like, I want to come on. It seems like it'd be fun. And I like you. You're so dope. So I knew we would have good energy. So I was like, of course, I'll be on.
It's just, I feel like very fortunate to be in a position to have such talent around me.
Yeah. And
to get to kind of tap them on the shoulder and, hey, can you do the podcast?
Yeah.
And sometimes people just aren't available or they're just not interested because, well, you know, I'm still kind of starting out. This is what I believe, episode 49. Are you a 49ers fan by any chance?
I am not. I am a Dallas Cowboys fan.
What, really?
I know I should not be saying that loud and proud, but I am very loud and proud.
Interesting. Okay, so let's switch gears here. Again, thank you for being on the pod. I'm going to thank you a million times throughout this podcast. This is just what I do.
No problem.
But speaking of football and you being a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Weird, right?
But you're originally from Maryland, as I stated as I walked you up.
Right.
And you got your shot in radio. This is what I want to get into, KT. Because I read on your bio here, which is a short bio, but it's a mysterious bio because it goes into like, I'm a Maryland native. Got my first shot in radio at a local station in Roanoke, Virginia. Never even heard of it.
Middle of nowhere.
But it sounds like the humble beginnings of many talents type of stories. They began at the very bottom in the middle of nowhere.
Absolutely.
And then you graduated from Liberty University, a degree in digital media performance. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds fancy. Very fancy. And that's where it leaves off.
Yeah.
Then got the rare opportunity to dive headfirst into the radio career of my dreams. And it stops. Well, let's continue on this podcast. Where did it all begin? How and why did you get into radio?
That is such a bad bio. I wrote that like 8 years ago.
It's so you.
So I'll give you the full lowdown.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I was born in Philadelphia. So that is like my place, my home. But I did grow up in Maryland. Maryland, it was like a small town in Calvert County, Maryland. I went to school in Lynchburg, Virginia.
I've heard of Lynchburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
West Virginia, right? Yeah.
No, it's not West Virginia. It's regular Virginia.
Oh,
Lynchburg,
okay.
Virginia.
All right.
Liberty University. I don't really like to say that I went to Liberty. I don't really like to claim that school because a lot of stuff went down there. But nevertheless, that is where I got my start. So I have to give it credit. But yeah, I did major in digital media performance.
What is that exactly?
So it's like all things TV. Radio, being in front of the camera. That's where I also learned how to do a lot of my editing behind the scenes too. So I am really good with Adobe Audition, Premiere Pro. Like I'm a whiz at editing.
Really?
And so digital media performance encompasses all of that. And I loved being in that department. I give credit to one of my teachers who was so hard on all of us.
Really?
Right? He was the teacher that never passed anybody, right?
Was he failing people?
He was failing people. And it was like, you have to keep taking the test over and over and over again until you pass. And I give him so much credit because his toughness pushed me to be the person that I am today. I'm always so hard on myself. I always work so hard to be perfect. Even though I know you never will be perfect, I strive to do the best that I can because he pushed me so much. He didn't give me no mercy, no shortcuts. And so I really earned my pass in his class the hard way. You know what I mean? And so I always give him credit.
What's his name? Can we shout him out?
Professor Underation from Liberty University.
His name's Underation? What a fitting name.
Right?
It really suits his MO.
Absolutely.
He's like, again, yes, Professor. What's it? Professor what?
Professor Underation.
Underation. I mean, that's a new name. That's like a new term.
And he lived up to that name. Okay.
Wow.
But I love him to this day, and we still talk, and he's amazing.
Yeah.
But in order to graduate, I needed an internship. And I was really focusing on being in front of the camera, doing news and TV. And I didn't feel comfortable doing it. Like doing the newsy stuff, being super professional, wearing suits and ties.
Did you have a news type of delivery?
No, I didn't like any of that.
Can you do like a news type delivery?
I don't think I've never even tried.
I had EJ.
WDJN.
Yeah.
Like, no.
This is WXYZ. We have breaking news to present to you tonight, and we go to our host, David Mio.
Stop it. You're actually really good at that.
No, you know who's better is EJ, who I've had on early when this podcast began. He was on episode 7.
Yeah.
And he has multiple like alter egos. He has an Alt 98.7 type rock voice and name, Smudge. He'd call himself Smudge, right?
I haven't heard that
And he's
before.
like, what's up, it's Smudge? I can't do it. It sounds way better. And then he also has, for KFI, his KFI voice. And it's solid. I'm going to have to play a clip of that.
Please do.
It's Smudge.
Smudge. Now, can we get a little dose of Smudge?
Hey, it's Smudge on air. I would literally talk like that.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Smudge.
Let's do a break.
Here
Let's do a
is-
break. It's let's just say it's Alt 98.7 for argument's sake. Alt 98.7 sketch right here coming out at 3:11. Smudge with me. What's going on, Smudge?
Today's just been a day.
Yeah, tell us about it, Smudge.
I'm on a bender.
What kind of bender are we on?
Bender, tequila bender.
Yeah. Your news anchor KFI voice. Can we get a dose
It
of
would
that?
literally be like a 15-year-old was shot and killed on a corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Now, sources are saying they have no idea what had happened, but police are urging you to call Crime Stoppers at 213-577-TIPS.
And then close it with the KFI.
Reporting live from Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, EJ, KFI News.
Isn't that?
Well, first of all, EJ is like born to his lifelong dream is to be like on the news,
Right.
and he will one day because he's great with the voices. But I can't do all that.
Do it one more time in the clear because I talked over you. Let's hear it.
This is WDBJ. My name is Kayla, and this afternoon we're having a high of 60 degrees and a low of 30. So I can't fucking do
You're
it.
so
Like
cool.
I can't do
You're
it.
just too cool. You didn't even say your last name. You're like, this is Kayla.
Like,
you know
no,
me.
it's too serious. It's boring as hell.
Right.
Can I cuss on here?
Of course.
Okay. It's boring as hell. It's just not my element, and I never felt comfortable doing it. Plus, I'm not the biggest fan of being in front of the camera. I do it obviously because that's the generation we live in, and we always have to be on camera.
Right.
But like, I prefer to not wear makeup. I prefer to wear sweatpants, and you can't do that on TV.
Right.
So I was getting rejected by like all these TV.
So you
internships.
wanted to originally be a TV personality.
That's what I felt like I had to do.
And at what age did you have this calling?
This was to be on TV.
Right.
I've been acting in plays and doing the most.
Yeah, you seem like that kind of
I was a freaking cheerleader.
Artist type of energy.
Yeah, I've been doing that since I was a kid, right? So I've always been like the most dramatic. I'm an Aries, right?
Yeah.
Dramatic as hell. Like I've been in front of the camera my whole entire life, but I just wasn't feeling like that's what it was supposed to, like.
This isn't the lane.
No. And then I was like, so when I was getting an internship in TV, someone said, why don't you just try a radio station? And I was like,
and you didn't even think of that.
no, I'm like, isn't radio for old people? Like, what? Radio? What
They
the
still
fuck?
do that?
Like,
Radio?
What in the world? But I needed an internship. So I went and I found one at a local radio station about an hour away from Liberty in Roanoke, Virginia. That's where my whole life changed.
And what station was it?
K92, 92.3 in Lynchburg, Virginia.
And what
Roanoke, Virginia.
format?
Top 40.
Really?
I've always been in top 40. They told me I wasn't urban enough to be in hip hop and R&B.
Do you have demos of your early?
Oh, yes, I
Can
do.
you send me
I have a...
one or two so we can play a clip?
And my voice was probably like this.
You were way up there.
My name was, yeah, like hella.
You hadn't found your voice yet.
At all.
Nobody actually really finds their voice right away, I don't feel like.
No.
Everybody messes up. Even Howard Stern was like, he was way up in his throat when he's like, this is Howard Stern. He didn't know how to just be himself.
Even after I got here, I still couldn't really figure. I was like, oh, I need to be like EJ. I need to be like Gabby. Like it was rough first year here trying to.
Really?
I didn't know what people wanted me to sound like, but then I came to and was like, Kayla, they just want you to be you.
Be you.
You know, I can't be like EJ. There's no way in hell I can be like EJ. So yeah.
EJ on the air is also just EJ. It's just turned up EJ.
It is.
Okay. So you get your break on, what's the name of the station again?
K92.
K92. And you're in top 40 and you get the internship. And then what happens? How do you go from interning to just on air? Who gives you this shot?
Yeah, so I mean, I did the dirty work. I did the editing. I did the coffee runs. I did the early morning shifts. I did everything. And I was just like a sponge. I wanted to learn so much. And I didn't realize how fun radio was.
Right.
My best friend in the entire world, his name is Freddie Mac. And he was my mentor. He is who I interned under.
Right.
He was doing middays at the time. And he let me sit in there and just watch him on air. And it was like the coolest thing.
Running the board. Right.
I just thought that how you're pressing buttons all like, you know what I mean? And then you're hitting the mark on the song. I just thought it was so cool. And above all else, like he was himself. It wasn't this proper like how
K92.
you're supposed to be on TV.
Right.
He was genuinely just cracking jokes about what he ate for breakfast.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just so cool. And people actually were drawn to him. And so I just sat in with him almost every single day and just watched him. And he would coach me and I started making my own air checks and he would listen to them. And that's basically how it happened, you know? And then after being at my internship, they asked me and they had me come on air on the morning show sometimes and just talk. And I guess they really liked my voice. And they were like, you know, we would like you to start trying to do weekends, like a weekend shift, like overnights, right?
Wow.
And so I tracked that and then eventually got moved up to, I did nights.
Damn.
Yeah. And mind you, I was still in college during this time. I was like my 5th year senior.
So you're like famous now.
I'm like Virginia famous.
You're Virginia famous, but still like when you're in school and on air.
Yeah.
That's
mad cool.
I remember working with Busta Rhymes early on in the late 90s, early 2000, like to turn of the millennium. And I got a chance to produce for the Extinction Level Event album. And I remember now looking back at that, I'm like, man, I wish social media was around.
Yeah.
Was social media around when you were doing the intern or being on air and going to college?
Yeah. So it was like TikTok was not a thing yet. It was just Snapchat and Instagram
and Vine
Well, no, Vine. I think I had passed at this point. Vine was like my junior year of college.
Wow. God, I'm old. Go ahead.
But yeah. So I mean, and then eventually after that, after I graduated, after my 5th year, they asked me to do full-time middays.
Wow. Jeez.
So this was January 2017.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
It's insane how some folks. Like, I wanted to be in radio so bad. Like, I was too hungry for it. And the people that I was working under at Groove Radio in Santa Monica back in 97 was like the first major market radio station. It had just started, but I was too hungry. And I had to work my way up. But you kind of fall into it by just a suggestion. Somebody's like, why don't you try radio? And you're like, radio?
Yeah.
Those are as old as, that's like old as phone booths.
Yes.
Or landlines. But here you are, and then you just like catapult from Freddie Mac being the intern. You learn the board, you learn the editing, you already knew editing. You did overnight, you track the demos, you kind of just get your foot in, and then suddenly you rocket ship off into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
And again, this is Virginia radio, so it's, I guess, in
this
a sense.
This was market like 250.
Right, it's small market radio, but still, when you're coming up in the game, no matter what market you're in, it's a different type of feeling. It's like getting signed to a record label as an artist. It doesn't matter what record label it is. When you get that opportunity, it's like you can't even put it into words, the feeling. It's like a mysterious mystique feeling that you're always almost trying to chase from that moment on. It's like a drug in a sense. You know what I mean? The on air gets you high. And yet, so you go from overnights, you go to nights, and then you get afternoon drive.
Middays, yes.
Which is also another great coveted time slot.
And I was promotions director.
So you were rocking the double, what's like a double agent. You were rocking 2 double positions.
Right, which was so foreign to me because it's like that. I was writing proposals. I was going on sales meetings and stuff like that. But I was also planning events, which is something that I do really well.
Oh, you're a good event planner?
I'm good at I saw any of my friends. I'm always throwing the birthday parties.
Me, I've seen your posts.
I always have the parties.
You're behind that.
Oh, yeah. I'm so good at that. And I love people feeling celebrated. All of my friends, you are gonna feel celebrated around me. I'm gonna do the most for you.
I need to really buddy up with you then, because I don't have any of that. I don't have anybody looking out for me like that anymore.
I want everybody to feel that way because I would want my friends to make me feel special too. So
you are.
I'm really, thank you. So I'm really good at event planning. So that's where that aspect came in. And I just learned so much about radio with being a promotions director.
And hands-on.
Yeah. So it's like now I understand the sales side. I'm here at KISS now and I understand everything that promotions goes through. I understand everything that sales going through. I know how to write a proposal. I know how to do a cold call. I did all of that.
Wow.
And I learned a lot in the year and a half that I was full time there. I think it was a year and a half. Yeah.
That's a short amount of time. That's like getting a second class for free, but did you get paid for being an intern or was it only, but you immediately started getting paid once you started doing slots, right? And then also what I was going to say, and this is a question I typically ask all of my guests is, and just based on what you told me, I feel like had radio not come calling or any of the TV media stuff, I feel like the event planning would have been your career of choice.
Absolutely. That's what my dad does.
Really?
My dad, he runs the convention center in Chicago. So he is the CEO of the Chicago, and that's what they do. That's all it is events.
Major events. Like city stuff.
So it's kind of in my blood.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And my brother kind of fell into that path too. He's kind of doing the same thing. He works for the Houston Texans as a manager. And so he wants to go into that route as well as like my dad. So it's kind of in my blood to do that.
Family lineage.
Yeah.
Right. And yet none of your family, other than you, have ever been in media or radio or television. Just you. You're the first.
Yeah.
Right. And how did your parents feel or your family feel about you when you were like, I'm going to go into radio and I'm doing this?
It was kind of like okay, well, I mean, a job's a job.
Right. Somebody's got to do it.
She got a full-time job straight out of college. You know how rare that is? Out of college, I know a lot of my friends, it took them 4 years to actually get a full-time job. And the fact that I had one immediately as I graduated was
during college, because you were already on the air.
I was already on the air, but full-time was when I graduated. But it doesn't. So they were just proud, yo, we're good. She can live on her own. She's not coming back home. I never moved back home after college.
And you moved out, 19, 18?
When it was my freshman year of college, it was 18.
Wow.
18, yeah.
Yeah, that's when I moved out.
Yeah.
And I know some people that are my age that still live at home with their parents. Not saying that that's a bad thing,
me too.
but...
How old are you?
I'm 46 now. By the time this podcast ends, I'll be about 55. But yeah, it's just wild, having to... You're really... getting pushed to the forefront of being a young adult.
Yeah.
And not only that, but as you're getting your diploma, you're also getting a time slot in middays. They're handing you your diploma and you're did you sign a contract?
All that.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Yeah,
I've never signed a contract ever.
Honestly, I'm just really, I manifested this. I have such strong faith and also such good parents that pushed me. Just watching my dad, how he elevated and kept getting promoted, it pushed me I can't fail. My dad never failed.
Right.
So I have no choice but to succeed. And I always kept that in the back of my mind. So anything that I go after, like I do it to the best of my ability, and I manifest like no other. And so it seems like things kind of come easy because I've had people say that to me and I'm like, well, no. One, I manifest. Two, like I work hard. There's a level of working hard that comes with it as well. It's not just that things are not handed to me at all, especially being a Black woman.
I feel you on that.
In a top 40 market.
As a minority, I hear you.
Yeah, like, are you kidding me? Like, I am on a pop station, I'm a Black girl, and that doesn't happen. I tried to get in hip hop and R&B. They told me that my voice wasn't urban enough, so I had to be in top 40.
Wow.
But which is fine because I'd rather be in top 40 anyway, okay? But like, but you know, so it was hard. It was difficult. It was very hard being rejected by my own people, by my own culture, because I wanted to be on a hip hop and R&B station. I wanted to be with my people. And the fact that they told me no, it was really hurtful just because of the way that I talk. I talk too white. I talk too da-da-da. And it's like, well, no. I'm educated, but I don't think it's me talking white, but it doesn't matter. So I transform that and use that as fuel to get to where I am. And now I can say I'm in the biggest radio station in the country. And my voice did that. Yeah. You know, that's it. It doesn't. I don't care if you think I'm Black, I'm white, or whatever. Right. My voice did that.
It doesn't really even matter either.
Yeah.
At all. I mean, it matters, but at the same time, who cares?
Right.
Right. I mean, EJ's Black. I didn't know EJ was Black until I met him, until I came here. And I always thought I always told EJ, I'm like, dude, you're like what cool is defined as to me. When I hear your voice, you're like LA, and he's not even from LA.
Yeah.
Like I think of LA and I think of EJ on Kiss. I think of Big Boy, and they're vastly different sounding, right? But I still like they embody this type of coolness to them.
Yeah.
Right. That's something that I've experienced too, being Mexican American, right? I was born in Mexico City, don't really speak Spanish. I also get that where it's like other Latino friends have told me like, oh, you sound whitewashed. And I'm like, I speak articulately, right? Articulately, right? Is that the right word? I don't even know if I'm saying that. Yeah, I speak articulate and I speak clearly and I enunciate. I think that just comes with the territory and par for the course of being into radio where you have to pronounce. And I wanted to be like the announcer. I wanted to be, are you familiar with Eric Edwards, the voiceover? He's the voice of like Power. He's the voice of like a million other stations in the country, hip hop stations. But I wanted to do that. In order to do that, you have to speak clearly. You can't speak with like an accent. So I know what you're saying. I can relate to you on that level of like, you're kind of getting dissed by your own peers, people of the same color as you.
It's hurtful.
It is. And that brings me to my next segment. Or next question, I should say, rather, is like you said earlier, it appears because you manifest things into existence and you've done that. You have a track record for it. You had good parents, got a good head on your shoulders. But what kind of like sacrifices, other than what you said about being kind of dissed by the peers about the way you speak, but what kind of sacrifices or what's the right way to say it? Like challenges that you've had to overcome to get to where you're at?
Yeah. I've gotten a lot of no's when I was trying to get out of Virginia because I had been there all throughout college and then working at K92. I was ready to go. Right. And I was at the point where I was like, I want to see if I can attempt a major market or a bigger market. And I know that there's a lot of steps to get to a bigger market. But what I did was I started sending my demo reel out to every PD in the country. I think I sent my demo reel out to 200 PDs. Wow. Every radio station that you can think of. I personally emailed the PD and I said, hi, like, you know,
I'm Kayla Thomas.
Yeah, I just want to pick your brain. Here's my demo reel. And I got a lot of no's. I got a lot of, you're still too green. You're still too this. So I would say that I got rejected a lot, but I kept pushing. A lot of other sacrifices were, I mean, I did the whole late nights things. I, sacrificed going out with friends and, doing things that other people my age at the time, what was it, like 20, 23, 22, like, to be in the studio and perfect my craft, make a million demo reels over and over again. I got a mentor who was like a seasoned in the game, a legend in the Virginia area, on the urban station. And he would sit with me all the time and tell me, and I would sit with him during his shows on days where I should have been out partying. I would sit with him during his show and just watch him. So I put in the hours.
Yeah.
I just sacrificed a lot of time. I sacrificed relationships to be able to do what I wanted to do. And I feel like, I might have lost a lot of friends during that time, but I was so dedicated to my career. People said that I was a little bit too obsessed with what I was doing.
Right.
And it was like, no, like I have a goal, and being in a relationship is not my main priority right now. So that's what I would say.
Did radio ever break up a relationship?
Most recently.
What? Really?
I moved across the country with my man, and he just moved home about 4 months ago.
Back to Maryland?
He moved back to Philadelphia.
Philly, I'm sorry. The original.
So after Roanoke, Virginia,
right.
I got a job in Jersey. So I moved back to Philly. I lived in Philly, and that's where I met my boyfriend at the time. And so I eventually got hired by Town Square Media. Yeah. And I went to a little radio station called 94.5 PST, but they also gave me my own syndicated show called Pop Crush Nights.
That's right. Oh yeah, I've heard of this. I want to talk about that.
Yeah, and that's where I met my boyfriend, and then that's
interesting, because I remember seeing a post about his birthday last year. And now that you told me about the party planning and the event planning, you obviously planned this little shindig for your man at the time.
Yep. And
it looked fun. It looked like I wanted to be there, but I don't really know her. But I started following you. I had just met you.
Yep.
And that's the guy who moved back. Really? And can we elaborate on what happened? Was it because of Kiss?
Do you want to get into it now?
Yeah, let's go.
So we moved here. So after I had the job in Jersey, lived in Philly, which is where he lived as well.
Right.
And hit it off, met on Bumble.
Really?
Yeah, fell in love like super, super quick. It was everything. But also my career was just like, I wanted to get to the next level. At the time, I had only been with PSD for when I met him, like a year, but I was already like, what's next?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so always grinding, always pushing. Kiss came into the picture August of 2021.
Right after like the pandemic had kind of settled for a second.
Yes. I was talking to John Ivey for like 6 months before I signed my contract in January 2022.
Wow.
So my boyfriend and I at the time had only been dating for, I don't know, like not even a year at that point.
Right.
Like
10 months.
But he was like, I want to come with you. I want to move with you. That's how serious we were about each other.
Were you guys thinking about getting married too?
All that. Yeah.
Wow.
And so when Kiss was finally finalized, he was like, I'm coming with you. And we packed all of our stuff up. Mind you, we'd only been together for like 10 months at the time. And we moved here to LA together. Worst mistake. I would never say move across the country with somebody, especially after 10 months and never living with them before.
I was just about to ask, because my mom would always say, you don't truly know somebody until you've lived with them for 2 years.
It was probably the worst mistake ever. What I would say is I think our career was one of the reasons why we, split apart. I'm always here. If you know me, if you're my friend, I'm here 7 days a week.
If you work at iHeart, you're always here.
You are all, seriously.
They make you work for your money.
Yes.
Yeah.
But not only am I on the radio, I'm constantly doing interviews. I'm constantly doing hostings.
You're tracking other markets from the studio we're in right now recording this podcast.
Yes. I'm also very involved with the community. So I like to host things like the Juneteenth for the city of Irvine, Juneteenth event. Right. I have lupus. So I'm constantly involved with like the Lupus Foundation of America, SoCal region.
Lupus. I didn't know this.
Yes.
Wow.
So I'm constantly involved with panels with them. And, I'm hands-on. Plus, I'm a social person. I have a lot of friends. Like I said, I love planning events for the friends. And I think he felt like my attention was nowhere near on him and too much on other people and my job.
Right.
And in some cases, it was. He became very depressed being here. One, because he brought his job from the East Coast. East Coast money is not West Coast money.
Right.
And trying to find a job here was crazy.
It's like mission
my
impossible.
Goodness. Right. So you have on one hand, I'm making a lot of money. he's making way less than me.
Right.
He feels emasculated.
Oh, yeah.
He feels like abandoned because I'm doing all these things.
He looks
I'm
like
trying
an NFL player.
Does he?
I mean, from the post I saw, he was like a big, beautiful black man with like long hair, right? He had dreads.
They're not dreads, but they're like twists.
Okay, twists.
I would twist his hair and everything.
He looked like an NFL. I was like, look at this guy.
Yeah.
She got herself an NFL player, for Christ's sake.
I wish. Maybe my next man.
What did he do? Can we just say? Or is it okay?
Well, no, he was in finance. And now he's in cybersecurity. He went back to school for cybersecurity.
Yeah.
So it was just hard. He had a difficult time making friends.
Yeah.
But also, I think there was a level of jealousy in there.
Oh, for sure. There's intimidation, for sure.
Absolutely. Because he felt less than, I don't mind sharing this because he's never going to hear this anyway, but because I think from what I've tried to process through therapy, because he felt less than in areas financially, and mind you, there are so many things that I could have done differently to be a better girlfriend. But because that he felt less than and emasculated, I guess, he took it out on me in ways that he shouldn't have. He went and was on Tinder while we were together.
Oh,
yeah. And, disrespected me in a lot of ways that he should not have. And so I was not going to stand for that. And he blamed it on me not being around and me being at work all the time and me doing late nights on Kiss and putting other priorities over him. That's why I'm on Tinder. That's why I'm going to, that's why I'm basically cheating.
Yeah, he's the victim now.
Absolutely. And he refused to take any type of accountability. So that is why he moved back to Philadelphia.
Keyword, accountability. Something, I'm surprised he's not from LA, because that's something people in LA don't really have anymore, is accountability. At least to me, I feel like I see so many people just unwilling to just go, you know what? My bad.
Nope.
Remember my bad? Remember that? People would say it all the time.
I don't hear it no more.
No, it doesn't exist.
What is that? What is that?
What does this mean, this my bad? Is this alien talk?
Because it would not come out of his mouth, that's for damn sure. And that's why I had to kick him out. And that's that. And so where I'm at in my stage of my life right now, like, this is what I have right now. I love my friends and my family, but like my focus is this.
Yeah.
I'm not stopping here. And if you can't get on board with that, if you have a problem with me making a certain amount of money, if you have a problem with me being here till 2:00 in the morning, then you're not the one for me. And that's what I've realized. I've like I said, along this radio journey, you lose and you gain a lot of people.
True.
You really, really do.
True.
Fake ones who want to be around you because you're interviewing artists, real ones who want to support you and your dreams. And I've encountered it all.
Yeah, same. I think that this place, as well as my very own podcast, has weeded out a lot of people, not saying they're bad, but it's weeded out people that fuck with me and don't fuck with me. Like, they'll ask me for shit, for favors, and I come through, because if I say I'm coming, I'm coming. I think Dave Chappelle said that. But like, I always follow through. If I say I'm going to, I may be a little late, but I'm going to follow. If I say yes to you, I'm going to show up. But a lot of people who say yes to me don't show up. And that is one of my pet peeves. It's like, it infuriates me. But I also learned, like, well, don't take it that personal. Just know that whatever they're going through has nothing to do with you. And I feel like with you and your ex-boyfriend, whatever he was projecting onto you really had nothing to do with you. It's his own psychological issues that require tissues.
Absolutely. And
you were able to shake that off and focus on your career. I want to ask you, KT, and thank you for sharing that, because that was real deep. That was, I appreciate you being vulnerable and putting it out there. Plus, nobody's listening. So, but let's go to the Kiss side things, because as you mentioned before, you were in conversations with John Ivey, the former program director of the legendary Kiss FM, who's now retired. Am I correct? Or is he still?
I think he's still, but
consulting?
He's took on like a lesser role,
right.
A step back. Yeah,
Beata Murphy taken over as the first female PD, I think, ever, right, of the station.
That's right.
Which was a feat in itself, and as that's happening, you're being brought on board. And let's point out that you are, like we said earlier, you're one of the only black female hosts. If you're the only black female host, not only on Kiss, but in all of iHeartMedia Los Angeles.
That's right.
Right? At least at the 8 stations located in this building.
That's right.
And EJ, obviously, as well, is on there, but he's been on the air for a while. How does that, is that one of the reasons that you think you got hired?
I thought about it because we were coming off of the George Floyd situation.
True.
When I kind of got fired, and everybody was going through this.
Fired or hired?
When I got hired.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So that was like 2021 is when I was in talks with John Ivy.
Right.
And George Floyd was, I think, it was in 2020,
May
right?
of 2020, I
right.
believe.
So after that, everybody was making inclusivity and diversity councils. Everybody was hiring black people just to look good. Da, 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 da.
Right. Optics.
But so it crossed my mind, but genuinely, I don't think so.
Right.
I know how. I know Beata, and I know the reason why she hired me.
Because you're dope as fuck.
I really think that, like, I don't know. Like, she's not like that, for one, and I think she genuinely wants good talent on her radio station.
And a female talent.
Yes.
Regardless of race or ethnicity. She just wants somebody dope who's not from here, but sounds like she's from here.
Right.
And that was you.
And that's what she said, too. And she said there was just something about you. And there's a lot of candidates for the position that I have. There's so many. And she could have chose anybody. Yeah. But she chose me. And I really do believe it's just genuinely because she thought I would be a good fit.
Right. Well, to share with you, I tried out for the KISS FM imaging director position because that's what I do. When the KISS FM imaging director position opened, man, I went for it so quick. And there was thousands, if not probably more, around the world, people trying out. That is like the most coveted imaging director position in the galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And Matt Wheeler got it. Respect to Matt Wheeler. I don't really know him that well, but I met him like once or twice. Great guy, right? Kind of looks like a bouncer. Like, not only can he image his ass off, but he'll beat the shit out of you, too.
Yeah, he'll kick you out of the club.
He'll kick you out of the club and probably get a clip to play back on KISS. But yeah, it's just one of those things where, like you said, so many people are trying out for it. It's any position at KISS FM is coveted. Hundreds, if not thousands of people trying out for it.
Right.
Did you have to, like you were talking to John Ivy, and then he retires, does that get carried, the talks get carried over to Beata, and you have to keep trying to almost reconvince her now that she's PD? Or is it essentially just kind of just flow in as it should?
Do you want to know how I got this job?
Please.
I sent a pizza to somebody.
What kind?
Okay, so this is what happened. I was ready to leave Town Square Media. I'd only been there for a year and a half. I was like, I want to try for a bigger market. I want to keep trying. I want to go. So I'm over here. Plus, there was issues at Town Square. Sorry, but not a good company. So Q102 in Philly had an opening, right? And my mentor at the time is Helen Little, who was at Light FM in New York.
Okay.
She was like, Kayla, go after it. Like, go after it. It was like the night slot. Excuse me. So I set my demo reel and I was like, what can I do to stand out? You know, like, there's so many people applying for this position. What do I do? And I was like, let me send a pizza to the PD. So I went a local pizza shop and I called them. I said, can you take out a slice? And I had them right on there. I'm the missing slice to your pie.
Oh my God. Look at this. You are not joking about the creative event planning.
Right. So they said it got sent to the PD.
Let me ask though, what pizza place did you call?
I do not even remember. It was super local in Philly.
Oh, in Philly. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't remember. So it got to him. He calls me immediately. He was like, Kayla, I got your pizza. I listened to your demo reel. You are phenomenal. But we already hired somebody. Oh. Mind you, the ad had been up for like an hour already.
Wow.
So they already knew who they were going to hire.
Yeah, they do that.
But he was like, you know what? I'm going to send your stuff up the chain. You belong at iHeartMedia.
Whoa.
You belong at iHeartRadio. I'm going to send this to anybody I can think of. Trust me, within the next year, you will be with iHeartRadio.
Wow. Look at you.
3 weeks later, John Ivy called me.
Jesus. I mean, this is unreal.
Yeah.
It
3
really
weeks later,
is.
John Ivy, he's like, Kayla, I'm finding a position for you. You are that good. So at first it was Y100 in Miami. Then it was Denver.
I worked at Y100.
Really?
Well, I worked for Clear Channel because back then it was Clear Channel. It wasn't iHeart yet. And I worked when it was in 2004 and I moved to Miami for 6 months.
Yeah.
So in a way, I kind of correlate and relate to what your ex-boyfriend went through moving across the country. You get homesick, physically homesick.
Oh, yeah. He was down and out.
And I want to ask you about that, too, in a little bit, about just being away from home for, in a brand new city. L.A. is a beast in itself, but we'll get to that in a second. But I want to tell the people listening, all 13 of you, is that John Ivy is by far one of the most legendary program directors. He's up there with Doc Winter. There's other guys that I don't want to mention just because, well, let's just not mention them right now. But we'll stick to the Doc Winter. We'll stick to John Ivy. Those are two of the biggest program directors in the world,
Yes.
right? In iHeartMedia alone, they're like rock stars. John Ivy, to get in front of John Ivy or to get his attention is in itself like mission impossible.
Absolutely.
Okay. So your guy at Q sends it up the chain. He gets a hold of it. You didn't send a pizza to John, did you?
No.
Did you send a pizza to Beata? No.
This was just to the Q102 guy.
And when you sent the pizza to the Q102 guys, did you send your demo inside the pizza as well?
No. I emailed it.
Oh, I see. Okay. But it all went together.
Yes.
What kind of pizza was it?
Pepperoni.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, but going back to just getting the whole position here and then moving from Philly, right? You're moving from Philly now because you're back in Philly.
Right.
And you get the position, you get hired in Philly from Beata?
Yeah. So when John Ivy called me, he immediately looped in. After there was like Y100, then Denver for like a split second, and then Beata got looped in. I want to say like a month later. I guess the transition was already happening. Of course, they weren't going to tell me that.
Right.
But she was in on it from the very beginning.
She was APD. Assistant program director.
Right. She was in it from the very beginning, and she was the one that officially called me and said I got the job in November, early December.
Did you ever think you weren't going to get it?
Yeah, because there was a period of time where they ghosted me for like 2 months.
Oh,
Mind you, we started talking August. I didn't hear from them. I talked to John Ivy for a couple weeks after that. Then it was like they kept sending me demo reels. Then the job got posted, and it was like November that I heard from them again. So August, September. Yeah, they ghosted me for a minute, but it's because there was a lot of logistics, and they were creating this position.
Yeah,
there weren't overnights on KISS before me.
Wow. So not only did they hire you, but they created a position, even though it's a known position overnights. They just didn't have it here because of tracking and the pandemic. There was people that weren't even allowed in the building anymore. It'd be essential, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
Wear your like biohazard suit and when you come in from the COVID germs. Remember when it was like everything's don't touch anything, don't touch your face. Remember that?
Yes.
How wild of a time to move across the country at the midst of a pandemic, right? Like that's something we didn't really even know what it was still. Even though a year had gone by, we still were like, and it was all political. People were fighting on the planes, but you get the job. You move from Philly. Yeah. And you fly or do you drive?
I flew.
You flew. Did they pay for the flight?
Absolutely.
Look at first class?
No.
Oh, that would have been something, right? You're all sitting next to Bob Pittman.
Oh my God, wouldn't that be nice?
Behind you is Greg Ashlock.
Tom Coleman.
Yeah, Coleman's there, who ironically looks like Will Arnett's brother, right? Tom Arnett, I like to call him.
I love
it. Okay. But here we go. You're in LA now.
Yeah.
And your boyfriend moves with you, but let's leave him out of this. So let's just focus on the career.
Yeah.
You're here in LA, your first night. What do you do?
First night? I think what did I do first night? Well, our furniture took 2 weeks to get here.
Oh, wow.
So he and I were like just
sitting on the floor?
Sitting on the floor with our cat, with our dog, and on an air mattress, and just so happy to be here. I don't think we did anything but just like probably ordered takeout and was just like, wow, we really live in LA.
Where did you move to, if I may ask? When you first moved?
I'm still at the same place in Burbank.
You don't have to tell the streets or anything. You're in
I'm in Burbank.
Oh,
I'm mad close.
Right. Me too. I live across the street from Warner Brothers.
Nice.
I walk here.
Oh, nice. I can walk here too.
Plus, I don't have a car anymore. I sold it because that's how expensive it is to live here.
Yeah,
and I'm not making KT money.
Oh, stop it.
Let me sidebar real quick before I forget because I have short-term memory loss. Damn you, weed. The lupus thing you mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay. When I asked you earlier about overcoming challenges, you didn't mention lupus at all. What kind of lupus? What is lupus exactly for somebody as stupid as I am?
Yeah.
And how did you overcome that?
Yeah, I guess I didn't mention it because I don't really like to I don't like to put that in my, people ask me all the time that question, what are your obstacles? And I don't like to, because sometimes.
It wasn't really an obstacle for you,
No, it is, but I don't like to look at it that way.
Because you don't seem
sick.
Right. And you are?
Mm-hmm.
Right now. You're sick right now.
Yeah, I will be for the rest of my life.
I mean, but how do you mitigate that? What do you do for treatment? Do you take...
Yeah, so lupus is an autoimmune disease and it attacks the organs in your body. Mm-hmm. Basically, the way that I diagnosed was just a routine blood work. Wow. I didn't have any symptoms. This was back in 2020. I didn't have any symptoms. Mm-hmm. And so when they told me after I went to a hematologist and a rheumatologist, I was like, no, I don't. I feel fine. Mm-hmm. But later on, my symptoms developed about, I'd say, a year later. And that's when I started taking my medication, which is hydroxychloroquine.
Oh, that's what they were trying to take for COVID. Remember Trump was like...
Sure do. So we get rashes on our face, butterfly rashes. We have extreme joint pain. When I get sick, I get sick. So the common cold will turn into 2 months of a cold.
It's like pneumonia.
So I got sick in January. I just recovered from a cold that turned to RSV to bronchitis.
Whoa.
End of March. I was sick for mad long. So that's what happens. We just
I remember this.
Yes.
I remember I was trying to get you to voice stuff and you're like, I'm sick. I thought you were just normal cold sick.
A cold will turn into something else.
Right, for you.
Our immune system is just very, very weak. Mind you, I am on the very milder side than a lot of people. If you meet a lot of lupus patients, a lot of times it turns into people having to be on dialysis. A lot of people have to have kidney transplants. I've met a lot of...
die from it?
Absolutely.
Wow.
If you maintain a healthy lifestyle, you take your medication, you can live a normal, happy life. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm on the milder side, so I don't have any organ failure right now. And Lord, please, I hope I never do.
We're knocking on wood right now.
Absolutely. If I take care of myself, I get take a urine test every 3 months. I have to get routine blood work. I get tired so easily. Like I will crash after this, like I get exhausted. So I've been taking a lot of supplements that will help with energy. I still drink, but I don't do a whole lot of drinking.
You don't black out.
Right. I only drink once a week. And yeah, it's just like an ongoing lifelong battle. There's no cure to lupus. So you just got to live with it. And maybe one day there will be a cure, but I'm blessed because on a day-to-day basis, I feel fine. I don't feel like I don't feel anything. I feel like a normal person. There are days where I feel more fatigued than others. I can't be out in the sun more than an hour or then my whole face will turn. I'll be unrecognizable. Sunscreen is my biggest thing. I have to apply sunscreen at least 3 times a day.
Speaking of sunscreen.
Black Girl Sunscreen. I already talked to her.
Ooh, shout out to Shantae
She need
Lundy.
to give me an endorsement.
Yeah. I started using the Black Girl Sunscreen because they gave me a gift bag. We're going to get back to the lupus thing, but I have to talk about this real quick because I feel like you should be on the show. I produced the Black Girl Sunscreen show that's aired on Real 92.3.
I'm going to be on May 16th.
Oh, beautiful. And that way you'll be on Real.
Yes.
See? So he in your face.
Y'all said I couldn't be on a hip hop station. Now look.
See, there you go. That was like your hip hop. That was your hip hop, I guess, voiceover right there, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of more urban hip hop.
I guess.
That's kind of almost like Nah Mean, But yeah, I started wearing, because, I got this convertible drop top, receding hairline on the top of my head. And I was wearing a copper tone for a while, which I know is bad, but it was the only bottle I had. And since I started doing the Black Girl Sunscreen show, refer to it as BGS. I was doing BGS show, and they brought me a gift, a little grab bag, and it had all the different kinds of sunscreen in it. And one of them said glow. Shave my head, and it shines like a beacon in the sun. And it takes away from the attention of the, holy shit, look at that guy's receding hairline. It's more of like, look at my shiny head. It's like a mirror.
Yes.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. I started wearing it. And I asked Shantae Lundy, I'm like, is there going to be a black guy sunscreen? And she goes, no, it's going to be Black Girl Sunscreen for men.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, so
I love that.
But I can't wait till you're on the show.
No, a lot of people say that colored people of color, don't need sunscreen. That is absolutely false.
Baloney.
Absolutely false. Especially lupus patients are majority black women or people of color. And it's usually women.
How did you get it? How does lupus just choose you? I
didn't even know this, but it was in my family. My pop-up had it. Nobody told me. And that's why I say black families, people of color families in general, talk about your medical history.
Get checked up.
Because we don't talk about it at all.
Right.
It's like a thing in black community, right? You just don't talk about we don't like going to the doctors. It's a thing. Had no idea that my pop-up had lupus. He died.
From lupus?
No, not from lupus. But then when I got diagnosed, everyone's like, what's going on? Everybody was like calling each other like, who had lupus?
Wow.
Pop-Pop had lupus.
And now Pop-Pop, probably from his generation, they didn't really know what it was. And that's probably another thing. That generation was the strong, silent type. They didn't say shit about anything.
Oh, no. It's like, suck it up. You're fine. So, but I'm currently the only one right now, like, within my entire family that has it. So it was just like, whoa, like what? You know what I mean? So I encourage people to get checkups. I'm such a strong advocate. Once I got over the embarrassment, because I just was so embarrassed that people would think that I wouldn't be able to do my job. I didn't tell anybody for like the first year and a half.
Wow.
I didn't really start talking about it until I came here to KISS. But now like I'm speaking on panels. I am a huge advocate of getting blood work. getting tested. Please. I'm always like, I shout it from the rooftops. And so like, that is one of my main missions.
It's an important message. And I have to thank you for, as a guest on someone else's podcast, you've never talked about it until now.
Right.
So in a sense, this is a Sketcho Show
exclusive
medical podcast exclusive. 2 questions on the lupus, and then we're going to move on if that's okay with you. One is, does it affect you having children? And second, since we live in LA, medical marijuana, how do you feel about weed? And would you partake since you do have lupus and now because you're in LA?
What was the first question? Brain fog is a symptom of lupus. I forget everything after 5 minutes.
The kids, can you have kids?
Yes, so it does. It does affect. I've never tried yet. So when the time comes, that's what that will be. We have no idea.
Does it pass on? Is it hereditary? It is. So there's a strong possibility if you have children that your baby's going to have lupus as well. They're born with it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the high percentage or whatever, but I do know it's like genetics. So,
it could
like, mind you, it skipped my parents, right? So
and it came from Pop to you.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
Medical, I do not smoke weed. I had a vocal cord injury in 2020. Just doing too much, talking loud, scream. You know me, I'm an Aries. I'm dramatic. I'm like always in the club, la, 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 and not speaking correctly, using my voice correctly on the radio. So I had a vocal cord injury. I had 2 vocal nodules on the side. Like I've been through it.
Is it almost like
medically?
Polyps? Like,
yeah, they look like this. Yeah.
You know, Big Boy got polyps once.
Yep,
so did Lionel Richie.
Wow.
But that came from eating too much ice cream for Lionel Richie. That's what he said.
Yeah. So I've been through it with my health, but we're on the come up side. But so I had 2 nodules that I had to go on vocal rest, and they told me like your voice, you'll always probably have these problems if you don't speak correctly. Weed fucks up my voice. It does not feel good. I tried the edibles.
Edibles are too strong.
I just don't like.
You just don't
marijuana.
mess with it.
No.
It's not for everybody.
It's not. But when it comes to managing stress and anxiety, I'll take CBD oil, but
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
it takes out the THC.
Yeah. But nah, I don't really.
Well, that's cool.
Weed's just not my thing. I've tried, and it's just not my thing.
It's not everybody's brand, even though we're in LA and it's legal. It's not. My mom didn't like weed. She would always say it feels like I'm sinking.
Yeah, I don't like not having control. I just feel like I'm. It's just heavy on me.
Right.
I don't like that.
It's just, you got to almost be seasoned in a sense because even for me, I smoke weed still until this day, and every now and again I'll take a couple of puffs and I'm like, holy shit, I am high as giraffe nuts. I mean, I feel like heavy, and I'm a seasoned smoker, but I know I'll have to like sit down and kind of like just chill for a second, and I get sometimes what's known as uncomfortably stoned, where and I like it in a sense because it doesn't last long. It's like 20 minutes of paranoia. And I'm drinking coffee and I'm high. And the two are battling each other. So I'm like sweaty palms. I feel like impending doom is happening.
Oh, gosh.
And then it goes away. But I feel like I'm alive. I feel like, I'm like, why am I so nervous? I'm sitting at home doing nothing, just editing, for work. But I'm like, oh, is this spot right? Did I enter the right date? Oh my God. And I have to go and double check everything. And then it kind of goes away. I don't know why I enjoy that. Maybe just because it makes me feel on the edge.
Yeah.
And I like that feeling.
Okay.
I guess in a way, being on the radio is also like living on the edge.
That's true.
Right? And we'll wrap this up pretty soon. We're almost at an hour, and I know you got to get out of here, and I don't want to hold you, but this is fascinating. You have such a fascinating life, KT. I mean, the lupus thing, the ex-boyfriend thing, getting in talks with Ivy, and then getting hired with Beata. Let's switch it up to this now. Being on Kiss FM, and we were talking about your first night in LA, right? And then you do your first night at Kiss FM, and you're here live, right? Like, that's the other thing. Lest anyone think, because of voice tracking and how wildly popular voice tracking is now, not everybody is voice tracked, and you're one of them. Right. And you're on the air live in LA. Are you nervous the first night? Do you mess up?
Yes.
Yeah?
Oh my gosh, the first night, EJ was there to hold my hand the whole time. And I think actually the first time they had me track my first hour just because but
just to make sure.
When I was first on my own live, oh my God, I was so nervous. And again, like, I wanted to be like EJ. They'd always be like, okay, make sure you listen to EJ. Make sure you listen to JoJo. Like, that's how your calls should be. So I just did not know who I was. And I feel like I probably came off super nervous. But who doesn't on their first night at the biggest radio station?
It's like a comedian bombing. Yeah. It comes with the territory.
I don't think I really got comfortable until like 7-8 months in.
Really?
Yeah.
And now you're fine.
Now I don't give a fuck. Like no, seriously, like I am so comfortable. I'll say whatever comes to my mind.
Yeah.
And honestly, like sometimes that's what I like about radio. I'm in this room by myself.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like you're talking to how many 5 million people.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like how I feel like I'm in my own world. I feel like, and I can say whatever. And I feel like that's what makes radio so cool. Also, it's like,
right.
We say whatever we want. We say whatever comes to our mind, and we're just being ourselves. And then it just so happens that all these people are listening.
It's wild, right? To be on the air on terrestrial radio.
Yeah, man.
Which you coined or thought of as kind of old at one point before you decided to take the leap into it. And now you discovered this whole new love for media.
Yeah.
Right? That you weren't even really interested in at first.
Yeah.
Because you were getting into the television side of things. And here's radio that just literally pulls you out of that and brings you. It's like the universe chose you.
Aww.
Right? Doesn't it feel like that?
Yeah.
Like I feel like radio chose me, even though my mom was a singer. My dad was a recording engineer, recorded her album. They met in Mexico City, where I was born, right? My mom was from San Fernando. My dad was from there. But in a way, like you said, it's in my blood. It's in our blood.
Yeah.
It's like just part of who we are, which is a wonderful feeling because I know how difficult it is to not have a calling for some of my friends that still don't know what they want to do and they just kind of have a job.
Yeah.
Right?
And sometimes I'm like, and still to this day, I'm like, why me? You know what I mean?
Right.
There's so many other radio personalities who are so much better than me. There's always going to be somebody who it was better than you, right? And I ask myself all the time, like, I have imposter syndrome. I'm on the radio like with JoJo, and he's a freaking legend, going to be on the freaking Walk of Fame. You know, it's like, what am I doing here? And but then I have to think, well, why not me?
Somebody has to.
Yeah, somebody has to. And like, I have something different that I can offer that other people can't. And so that really pushes me and motivates me. Like, I can't keep thinking, Kayla, like, you don't belong here. Because I do have those thoughts a lot. But
the imposter syndrome is a good thing to have. I still have that. I even question, like, how am I still working with Big? I've known him since I was 12. He's the entire reason I got into radio.
Yeah.
I've been working with him since 98.
Yeah.
And I always talk about this on this podcast just as a tribute to him because a lot of people forget. Don't forget who got you on. It's not that he even tells me to say it. It's not. He doesn't care. He doesn't listen. It's the fact that other people should take heed to, like, the people that are your mentors. Don't forget about them.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy just to go like,
no.
You know what I mean? And you talked about Freddie Mac.
Yeah.
What was the other gentleman from Q?
the one that got me, the
what
PD.
was his name again?
The PD was Buster.
Buster Rhymes? No.
What is his last name? I don't even know what his last name, but I know it's Buster.
Buster. Not too many Busters in the radio world.
But I always give credit to Freddie Mac, and he's still my best friend to this day. And I mean, I give all the honor to him.
Yeah. Have you talked to Freddie?
I talk to him every day.
Yeah. Oh, you do?
We're like close like that.
Have you put him on the air? Like from there? You know, where he calls in or something?
No, we actually haven't done that.
Maybe you should.
He's now in Cincinnati.
Oh, nice.
He has his own afternoon show. It's like 3 of them. So he's set. He has a kid now. Like, we have been through life together. We have been best friends at this point for almost like 10 years.
Yeah, he's family.
Yeah.
That's family right there. He's like your uncle.
He'll be there. If I ever get like a Gracie Award or award for radio, he will be right there with me.
And you'll shout him out in the speech, right?
Yes.
Let's move into this real quick and then we'll wrap it up. But I want to ask, since you're not from LA and now that you're here and you're on Kiss FM overnights, what's the exact time slot just for the people listening?
10 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Nice.
It's a long...
To Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah, it's a long shift. And then on weekends, afternoons.
Nice. What time in the afternoon?
Saturdays 2 to 6, Sunday 12 to 3.
Nice. Wow, you're dominating the overnights and the weekends for sure, and tracking. But being in LA from Maryland, or from Philly, I should say, what type of things have you noticed? I'm going to start this new segment. I'm calling it Only in LA.
Uh-huh.
What kind of things have you seen that only happen here that you know do not happen in Philly? Because Philly's like a rough town.
Yeah.
It's like Boston. Those guys, it's a different type of breed of people on the East Coast that are way tougher, more headstrong, a little bit more willing to be like, shut the fuck up, asshole. Out here, people are like, I'm so offended. Immediately.
Yeah.
You can't even like say boo to somebody or they're already yelping you a bad review.
Yeah.
Right? Out there, you can talk some shit because everybody goes through those winters together.
Yeah.
So in LA, what have you noticed that happens here that you're like, bro, this is only some LA shit?
Okay, what I will say about the East Coast is our vibe and our aura and the way that we ride for each other, kind of what you were saying, is way different than out here. I don't know if it's just in LA. Mind you, I have grown to love LA. I like it here. I could see myself starting a family here. But I will say it is a hamster wheel, and everybody is out for themselves a little bit. So it's like, 100%. Whoever, what can you do for me? So I had a lot of conversations where it starts with, hi, what's your name? I'm Kayla. Oh, what do you do?
Right.
You're not even going to say, how are you? We don't do that shit back at home. We don't care what you do.
Right.
But out here, the first question everyone always asks me is, what do you do?
And how can it benefit me? Which is in the subtitles.
And but based on what I say will determine whether they want to keep having a conversation with me. And I fucking tested this shit out. So like one person, I was like, I'm a radio personality. Oh, I'm in media too. We should link. We should do da-da-da. I said I was like I think not a doctor, like a server or something to somebody else. I was like, oh, okay, conversation was like cut short.
It was over.
In that sentence. And I was like, wow.
Yep. That's fairly accurate.
And you do this back home in Philly, in the DMV.
Yeah. They'll be like, what the fuck do you care?
Yeah, no, but it's like, why are you asking me what I do?
Yeah.
Like, why do you want to know how much money I make? Like, we're not like that over there. So I will say here, it is like all about what you do.
You should be like next time, like, what do you do? Hi, what's your name? Kayla Thomas. Oh, nice to meet you, Kayla. I'm Brendan. What do you do, Kayla? I'm an astronaut. Say some crazy shit.
Right.
I'm a marine biologist. Some wild.
Right, I should.
Yeah, why not? See what happens. You know what I mean?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my niece is in marine biology. You know what I mean? It's funny. I'm a pickleball instructor.
Pickleball.
Yeah. Kayla Thomas, any closing words of wisdom that you can share with us before we sum up and wrap up?
I would just say keep going after your dreams. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not good enough, that you're not capable of doing what you want to do. Keep believing. What I do is like I said, I'm really good at manifesting. I write my stuff out. I have note cards all over my mirrors, all over my walls that are promises to myself.
You have vision boards?
I do that too. But they're promises to myself that are like, I'm going to achieve whatever I want to achieve. So it's like, one day I want to be an afternoon host on a major market, and I write it down. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I visualize it, and I look at it every single day. And I feel like that is how I got to where I am today. So keep dreaming. That's it.
That's very Casey Kasem of you. You know who that is?
Yes,
Casey
I do.
Is like, keep reaching for the stars.
I know.
And keep your feet
so
on
cliche,
the ground.
I'm sorry.
Well, no, that's a good one. What did he say? He'd go, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. I'm Casey Kasem. That's my Casey Kasem impression, by the way.
So good.
Not bad. It's all right. It's a progress. One more thing. What was I going to ask you here? Hold on. This is the damn you weed moment here. Where do you see radio in like the next 5 years along with your career? Like you said, you want an afternoon slot, right? At some point, where do you see that happening? And do you see it happening here? And where's radio headed?
I don't know if it will happen here. I mean, JoJo's going to be here forever. So, you know what I mean? So I'm good with wherever the Lord takes me, wherever he places me, honestly. But I know what I want. And I do want to do afternoons one day. I don't want to do mornings. Everyone's like, why don't you want to do? No, I have no desire to do morning show. But where do I see radio in like 5 years? I don't know. I mean, you ask anybody, you get different answers. Some people are like, it's dying, but there is still a need for radio.
Yep.
People still like that connection that you can't get on Spotify. People still like calling in and hearing their voice. People still like the contest and stuff like that. And especially during like COVID, we were the comfort.
Yeah, you're people's friend. And it's free too. That's the other thing. It's still free.
Yeah, there's a level of nostalgia when it comes to radio. So I don't think it'll ever die.
Right.
But I think it will change. With this all AI thing, it won't last. It's just too phony. It's too fake. And you can tell that it's not authentic. But I do think like what's happening right now, we're going to move towards digital. So you'll see more podcasts. You'll see more things on, social TikTok and stuff like that. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I don't think that this will fully die out. Maybe AM radio, but not FM.
Not FM.
Yeah.
Still need that friendly, familiar voice.
I think so.
Kayla Thomas, I appreciate you for being on the Sketcho Show podcast. I'd like to have you back at some point in like another year or something when we've lived more life and more stories to tell. But yeah, you were really quite transparent and open with your stories, and I really appreciate it. And if there's anything I can do for you in return, production-wise, I got you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Kayla Thomas on the Sketcho Show podcast. Bye, Kayla.
Bye.
Oh, good for you. And how was it?
The Sketch-O-Matic Show.
Hey, too much information and shit, man.
Shut your mouth, essay.
Okay, bye.
I don't think I really got comfortable until like 7-8 months in.
Really?
Yeah.
And now you're fine.
Now I don't give a fuck. Like no, seriously, like I am so comfortable